Welcome everyone to StoryTime Chill with Val SIL, where we are redefining story time. I am one half of your host, Miss Cecilia Seal Smith.
And I'm your other half, Valerie Val Johnson Reed.
And as always, we also want to celebrate and shine a light on our HBCUs of the week. So, Val, do we know who we have this week? I know. You know?
Who is our HBCU of the week?
All right.
They're all special to us, but we can only do one at a time.
One
So,
per week.
who do
One
you
per
have?
week.
Who do we have this week?
So this week we have Tennessee State University. Tennessee State University is recognized as one of the top HBCUs in the South. Not to be mistaken from Texas Southern University, because we know there's the battle of the TSUs. Tennessee State University is located in Nashville, Tennessee. The school began as the Agriculture and Industrial State Normal School for Negroes. And the doors opened to the school on Juneteenth in 1912. So I thought that was a fun fact as well. Tennessee State is known for its academics, but of course, it's also known for its athletics. Many basketball and football players have went on to the professional leagues. And Olympic legend Wilma Rudolph and media legend Oprah Winfrey, that's my girl, adds to the school's legacy. So TSU, their colors are white and royal blue. Their mascot is the Aristocat, the tiger, and their marching band is amazing. If you haven't heard them, if you haven't attended a game, make sure when it's safe to do so, you make it out to Tennessee State and show them some love. So they are our HBCU of the week.
Yes, indeed. Well, we shout out to all our schools, but this week, Tennessee State, thank you. We just want to continue to promote our HBCUs and talk about how important they are to our communities, because as you see, before they became popular, we were still popping. So hey, and there you have it.
Still popping. Stay popping. Stay popping in Storytime Chill with Val SIL.
That's right.
Let that run across the screen. But so today we have an amazing guest. He's actually not a stranger to the show. Might as well say he's our third co-host. So we have Mr. Maurice Todd here, and his Snotty Nose Kids series is just so profound. I haven't seen anything like it. And so he's going to be reading book 2 from his series. So let's go ahead and bring him up and see what he's been up to, you guys, all the way from New York. Hey, Maurice.
There he
Hello.
is. Hello. Hey, Maurice.
I gotta give a shout out to Virginia State University. Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's okay.
We love. Hey, we've already shouted out VSU, so we love VSU. Shout out to
Go Trojans.
That's right. That's
yes.
right.
Right.
Definitely. Absolutely. So, Maurice Todd, we appreciate you being here. You're no guest to us. You've been here before, but we have some new viewers. So tell our new viewers and our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Maurice Todd. I'm from out of New York City. I'm the CEO of S&K Rocks, which stands for the Snotty Nose Kids, a platform for anti-bullying and the depression which accompanies it. The school to prison pipeline, which is being generated currently because of the fact that many of the children are dropping out of school for failure to even want to attend school because of the massive amounts of violence and bullying that is going on inside of the schools. So I created a platform, based off the series of books which I created, which is the Snotty Nose Kids. And I wanted to address this, having been a person who has quite a bit of experience regarding bullying, because I myself, believe it or not, as big as I am, at one time I wasn't as big as I am. I was a little kid. I used to be bullied. And I came to understand that, it's a vicious cycle, because the person who is bullied tends to become the bullier, the person who bullies. And so the only way to address the bullying aspect is to address both ends of the spectrum, the one who is being bullied and the person who is doing the bullying, in order to bring it to a conclusion, and to address the mental health aspects of what children are going through right now, even some adults as well. in this world, this crazy world based, with this pandemic that has come along. And, you have children at home, they're talking about, closing schools again, children at home. Parents are faced with a dilemma now because they're trying to figure out, how do I, work and attend to my children's needs. So it's a lot going on. But the books, believe it or not, which were written quite a while ago, is actually catching up to the time. So you know how sometimes they say, that
Mhm.
art imitates life. Well, in this instance, life is imitating art, and it's just something that is enabling me to be able to bring about somewhat of a validation to my life. Because for those who don't know, I spent 16 and a half years in federal penitentiaries for armed bank robberies that were committed. And once again, being that there goes that that um that social emotional dynamic which pops up in a lot of in a lot of human beings, to whereas you misconstrue what life is all about because of your past experiences and your lack of understanding of how you go about bringing about a positive conclusion to a situation.
Yeah, that's
That's
so
it.
true. So true.
It's
Well,
just
without
business
further
for me.
delay,
Mm.
we want to get into the books because we can, we can talk like this for hours and hours.
Yeah,
And
we need our
everything
own
you said is
show.
right on
Another
point
show.
and
Another
it's so
show.
true. So we gonna get into this book. So without further delay, Maurice Todd, take it away.
This is the second book out of the series of Snotty Nose Kids and The Secret of the Lily. The next morning began like most others with Grandma up at the first rooster's crow. Shortly after, she woke Carly from out of her sleep, then went on to wake Benji and O. They were met by the smell of hot cocoa, along with cheese, eggs, turkey ham, and French toast. And they attacked it as if they'd been starved for days. You couldn't tell who had eaten the most. Nana Walker held her spot at the table, delightfully watching her grandchildren munch. But she had a bit of news to break to them, a topic best discussed well before lunch. So as the little ones grubbed on the morning feast, their grandmama put together the plan, which would center on bracing the children for a chain of events they might not understand. Though it wasn't that big a stink, really, for the final preparations were already done. It was just a matter of making the announcement, for the Tuck kids would arrive around 1. Grandma's gaze bounced from Carly to Owen before making a beeline straight for Benji's round face. And what came out of her mouth next was sure to cause shock to these children, no matter the case. Finish eating. I have something to tell you and listen up carefully with both of your ears. Carly, baby, pass Nana's tissue so I have them on hand just in case I shed tears. While Carly ran to fetch Nana's tissue, the brothers finished off their last morsels of food. Then they turned their attention to Grandma, who taught them good manners and how not to be rude. When Carly returned from the parlor, her hands held the tissue her Nana had sought. Then she sat down beside her two brothers and watched Grandma Walker collect all her thoughts. She resembled somewhat an old owl, for they are well known to be patient and wise. They can hang upside down from a tree limb, rotate their heads round while blinking their eyes. And though this was the worst winter ever, having been dreadfully cold the whole week, there was a chance of the temperature rising the moment before she had chosen to speak. Now, kids, let me address any worries, but please don't fret. You have nothing to fear, for I will always be Grandma Nana to you snotty nosed kids who I love oh so dear. And that won't change whether times are good or bad. It's just that now has arisen the need to come to the aid and assist those helpless, I've got to take on 3 more mouths to feed. But Nana, you have us to take care of. Who else in the world are you talking about? Replied Carly with the slightest confusion. Her little brother O was inclined to just pout. Seems like Benji had pulled out his Game Boy meanwhile, because for him there was really no doubt. And though he was widely considered a genius, it didn't take one to figure this out. What I mean is there are other children who aren't well to do, less fortunate than you. What I believe is each one might reach one, but I just need for you 3 to share in my view. So there, Grandma Walker had said it. In fact, let's just say she had laid it all out. She hadn't beaten around any bushes. Instead, she'd courageously taken her route. Now, the response to her words could have varied, let's say, from the awful to the kind not so good. One might expect temper tantrums to follow. In essence, a case could be made that they should. But what came out of their mouths was amazing, and it took Grandma Walker by total surprise. For the first words spoken were Owen's. Their truth and sincerity brought tears to her eyes. Nana Walker, you love your grandchildren. If I was asked anything, that's what I tell. You've given the clothes off your back when you've had to. And that's the truth that we all know too well. See little Owen, he's making his little, stand on top of the table. He's quite the orator, quite the speaker. Little O had delivered a grand speech. It was dear and it didn't sound rushed. Grandma Walker's smile was a mile long. If she weren't brown, well, she just might have blushed. We all know how you feel about us, Nana. We know that you care. There ain't never been no doubt. I'ma always be here for I love you, although I don't know what you're talking about. Benji's words made her let go a giggle. I think it was he who had broken the ice, but she realized he'd spoken, I love you. And those are 3 words that he'd only used twice. That in itself made it quite an occasion. Who's to say when he'd behave in the same? He gave his Nana a long kiss goodnight, and just like that, went back to playing his game. Hmm. Carly was the only one left now as she peered out through those heavy-set eyes. Those who knew said she carried an old soul. For her height, she appeared twice as wise. Grandma Walker was amazed by her beauty. She favored her mother when she was that size. With wisdom of a woman well up in age, which I think no one but her realized. The thought of living with someone else, Nana, is where we will certainly be put to the test. Though we trust you to care and protect us, that what you decide then will probably be best. Grandma Walker gave Carly a big hug. She had love for those Snotty Nose Kids. They were beautiful, bright little children who made her real proud in whatever they did. Nana Walker, just who are these children? How old are they really and what are they like? Do they eat hot blueberry muffins, love soccer more than riding their bikes? What if they don't even like hip hop music? Does this mean things will be changing here soon? Oh, Grandma, will I still keep my goldfish? Does this mean I'll be sharing my room? The questions came quick in a flurry, all knee deep in worry with no end in sight. Their Nana reacted in a hurry when she chose the best way to make everything right. They're kids just like you, I'd imagine, for children are children all over the world. Douglas Tux is the name of the one boy, Chassie and Dimples the names of the girls, whether they eat hot blueberry muffins, listen to hip hop, or like to ride bikes, is a question I leave them to answer. What if they play dollhouse or like to fly kites? Maybe they spend all their time baking cookies or watching the bears roll around at the zoo. I'm sure once you sit down together, you'll find a few things which you all like to do. Owen's eyebrows were now bunched together. It seems his attention was finally caught. Meanwhile, Carly had paced the floor back and forth, which she would often do when deep in thought. Even Benji, well known for his coolness, appeared like the news had now frazzled his brain, for his eyes bounced around in their sockets while he lost control of his video game. With their thoughts piled high like spaghetti, emotions were bound to be 2 steps behind, but Nana Walker came through to the rescue with an idea that was one of a kind. Let's just wait and see how this unravels. Things tend to naturally work themselves out. Besides, it never made sense to me, really, worrying about things you know nothing about. Just then, the doorbell began ringing, keeping in time with the beating of hearts. That left 8 bulging eyeballs glaring. That's 4 pairs of eyes that shot out like darts. But for the 3 kids left there to wonder, all without clue as to what lied in store, Grandma had some sort of an idea of what may lay on the flip side of that door. For her age had prepared her for most things, and so for her it was no big surprise. But the same can't be said for the Snotty Nose Kids, for the Tucks had now finally arrived. In the book too.
Awesome.
Okay. So
There's
that means we're still in suspense. We got to keep reading to
That's
know
what
what
I was about
happens
to
next.
say. There's always a lingering ending, like, okay, wait, what's next? I love
Yes.
it. I
You
love
gotta
it.
have a you
Very
gotta have a
good.
cliffhanger.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and you just did that. So now we have to have you back for book 3 because we got to know what happens at Nana's house. At Nana's house. So let's talk about that really quickly.
You're right.
How many books are there in the Snotty Nose Kids series?
Well, there are 4 books. You have the Snotty Nose Kids. You have the Snotty Nose Kids and the Secret of the Lily. You have the Snotty Nose Kids and the Flight of the Magical Pajamas. And you have the Snotty Nose Kids and the Hidden Isle of Cephalon.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's good to know. So now, the Secret of the Lily. The story setting takes place at Grandma's house, better known as Nana's house.
Right.
And there were some things that were going on there. But we didn't get to it because we got to read book 3. But in that story, uh, I think it was very important. I think it was very good that you showed Nana's house because I don't know how many kids these days truly get an idea, a picture of who quote unquote grandma or nana is. Number one, I know, and my kids knew through my mother before she passed away. But I don't think the average child today gets an idea or a picture of who nana or grandma is if they don't have that type of environment. Because I think so often we assume that all kids have that same family dynamic, and that's not always the case.
Right.
Why was it so important for you to show the dynamic of going to or being at Grandma and Nana's house?
Well, because I believe that, you know, we all have nanas in all, in our families, whether and nana takes on like so many different dynamics depending upon what your family structure might have been. If you came from a family where you had extended um a grandmother or grandmother and grandfather in the household along with the mother or the mother and father, then and you was blessed to have that dynamic. Well, we all know that you know nana or baba. Some families they call them baba. You know what I mean? But they had the final say. In other families where not so fortunate enough to have that type of dynamic, and um, the grandmother is the top authority in the household. No husband. No, maybe her husband passed on, or what have you, and then there's just the mother. You know what I mean? So in that aspect, you're blessed to have the grandmother and the mother dynamic. And then in some households, the grandmother takes on an even more added role because she's the one that stays home and takes care of the children, because the children's mother has to go out and work, sometimes maybe 8, 16 hours a day. So you know she's gone, but the grandmother takes on the role of the mother. In this particular instance, the children are orphaned due to their parents having, left due to a tragedy, and so the grandmother takes on the primary uh, um, authoritative, dynamic, to whereas she's wise, and in this book, she's not just any grandmother. She has roots that are from the people who are, they call them, they're called Gullah people, or some people want to call them Geechee people or whatever like that. But they're people who are orators. They transmit stories. That's how they're sharp. They're sharp because they can pull out stories after story after story. And this predates the rap era, you know. So they were rapping hundreds of years ago before any rapper ever showed up on the scene. And so that's what influenced me to give it up in that manner.
I think that's an amazing dynamic. I think that's amazing because the kids, as you said, they get to hear the stories passed down from one generation to another. And so often now we don't have that, or we rely on someone else. And that's why the big push for teaching our children our history is so important, because we cannot rely on school books to teach them the history. We have to teach them and show them. And that's why experiences are so important. Yes, gifts are amazing, but exposure and experiences, those are going to be the things that truly help our children. And now that I think about that, I'm a teacher at a local school, and there's a basic event that, or place in the neighborhood, that all the students have access to, but very few students at certain schools even have been there for whatever experience, whether it was a technology expo, whether it was a college fair, whether it was a sporting event. So many of our students from certain quote unquote households have not even had the exposure or the experience of going to this place and learning more about it. And so I think when you said that about being orators and being able to share our stories, it's so important, because for so many children, we take for granted that they're hearing their stories and they understand the stories that are being passed down from one generation to the next. But in actuality, if it's not people like yourself and other authors that have been here on Storytime Chill, if it's not for you, you guys are, to being in this, being on the platform and bringing these stories to life, so many students will go without even hearing this or knowing that these type of situations go on. So we just commend you for keeping the legacy going. And even if a student cannot personally relate to it, at least they have an idea of who grandma is, or who Nana is, and who she could be, or who Papa was, or whatever, and what they brought, or what their stories what they could be, potentially could be.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think the story also says another thing about how it shows respect and it shows deference. Even though grandma was a lot older, the children respected her. They sat down and they listened to what she had to say, and I think that speaks a lot too, because so often as younger people, especially, I know when I was younger, your elders are talking to you and you're like, oh, well, they don't, but then as you get older, you mature, you see, you see that they did know what they were talking about. They
Right.
had a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and they were willing to sit down and share that wisdom and knowledge with us. And so I
Right.
think that's important. That's just as important as well. What would you like the primary message from book 2, The Secret of the Lily? What would you want the takeaway to be from this story? What would be your hope and dream that all students, whether it's a student or a parent or a teacher, what do you want their biggest takeaway to be?
I think that I don't believe that there is enough investment in regards to listening to children. I don't think that we listen to one another enough. And as I go along and I'm studying, because I'm constantly studying as I go along, because I can utilize that when I try to explain myself, right? And it says that when you allow a person to speak, right, you allow them to speak. And I learned this dealing even with my own children, like my daughters and things of that nature. It's like I learned that instead of parenting, like coming with the tyrannical, oh, you're gonna do this, da, 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 that people are like, nah, I don't want that. You know what I mean? But if you allow people to take what you got to say, put it that way, and own it, you'll be surprised what they'll do with it. Because that's all any of us want. We just want to be able to put a stamp on something and claim this and say that we thought of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that's the trick. It's not really, I hate to use the word trick. I like to use the word finesse more, but it's a trick. It's the same thing. It's like you have to finesse people, and you have to say, okay, I'll listen to you. Mm-hmm. And let them just talk. And then what she says in the book, she says, well, I don't know. You know what I mean? You know, children are children all over the world, whether they like eat blueberry muffins, but let's just wait and see. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You know, nobody knows really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so she gives them the ability to problem solve. And that's what has to be taken from out of if when people feel like they're part of a collective, then the investment is made. If people feel alienated and they're like, nobody's listening to me, I'm not, you know, I mean, I kept on trying to talk to them, and that's when people leave. They don't want nothing to do with you no more. They don't want nothing to do with your platform, and they don't want to have nothing to do, period. So you have to bring people in and make it inclusive. And whether or not you take what they have to say or not, that's really not the end. That's not really the goal. The goal is just to make them feel like they had an input. And that's what book 2 is doing. It's like showing that the grandmother is like, okay, you know, I'm going to give you the story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not going to and I'm going to let you listen to it. And as you go along and you see in book 3 and stuff, the children are like, well, let grandma talk, because grandma been doing this for a long time. So they already bought in.
Mm-hmm.
Because grandma's real slick with it. You know what I mean? She's real, you know what I mean? She's not an old prude. She's slick. She know what she know what she's doing.
Yeah.
And those ways that we once had, they're gone. We gave those up for these ways that don't work. And we have to go back to the old way of transmission. So the child don't have to listen to little Uzi or little. You got about 20 littles out here, right?
Yeah.
And if it ain't a little, it's a young, a little, right? And instead of listening to their story, you come up with your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll be like, hey, yo, grandma real slick. She real slick. Let's listen to what grandma she hit. You know what I mean? So, and believe it or not, when something is repetitive, it works its way into your mind, your soul, whether you, after a while, you become defenseless to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I came with the music. I mean, with the book, and I made it a rap and I made it musical.
Oh, wow.
So that they will spit my lyrics the same way they spit them other cast lyrics, and it'll take a more profound effect, as opposed to me sitting up there saying Jack went up the hill, because those things ain't relevant.
No. Yeah.
Ain't nobody walking up no hill to fetch a pail of water and Jack it. That's corny. Right. Like, who's Jack and who's Jill and who's Randy and who? It doesn't make any sense. It's right. Like, at the end of the day, so you got to give it to them in their language so that they be like, oh, I know who Nana is. Because I got Nana's calling me right now. Shut it down.
That's true.
That's real talk.
That is real talk.
Yes.
I know one of the things that's big in our society now is talking about mental health, which is very important. But there's also a push for restorative practices. And I as an educator, as a parent, I get it, I hear it, but I hear a lot of jargon. And so when I hear those words or the jargon, my immediate thought process is, what are we going to do about the children? How is this going to help the children? What is the reality of, is this going to be effective when we talk about the social issues, the social dynamics, when we talk about the anti-bullying? Talk to us a little bit about that. What are your thoughts about the restorative practices and dealing with children? Because again, you know, I think that we need to rely on wisdom, you know, but so many are now relying on the social media to dictate and to say, hey, this, I'm going to take this person's word over somebody that's been alive 50, 60, 70, 80 years. And we're willing to accept what they have to say, but we're not willing to accept the wisdom and the knowledge and the teachings of the people that have been there, done this. And they could have written books about it, but that just wasn't their timing. So talk to us a little bit about that. What are your thoughts about that?
It's an uphill battle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. It's an uphill battle. The mechanism in which you speak about was ingeniously put together by, I don't know, alien forces or something like that. Yeah, because I'm gonna keep, yeah, because never before in the history of mankind, as you specify, have people put so much trust in people that they know nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
This is unheard of. Normally, in order for you to get someone to follow someone, you have to have had some type of interaction, social interaction, to whereas you benefit. You get me? Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
like in order for me, sometimes they call it, you buy friends or whatever it is. You have to put something into it in order to get back. Social media is another phenomenon. You have people who, you know, I don't want to make next state name, but they got gazillion followers. And these people, if they pop up tomorrow wearing polka dots, everyone's gonna wear polka dots.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People are more invested in a like, right? Which you can't even monetize unless you're like, a select few people, who are influencers. You can't monetize likes. Like I'm in a platform right now where we study Instagram, right? Without saying any names, but I'm in a thing, and what we concentrate on everything other than the like, because we know that likes can't be monetized.
Right.
It's something that's fiction. It's almost like it's like a Houdini trick. It's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your question, how do you go about? You're gonna have to attack on multiple. You have to, like, I hate to use like military strategy, but you have to attack. You have to use a multi-prong attack, meaning you have to be coming from every way. You got to be coming from the side, the front, the back, top, underneath, if you really care,
Right.
because you're dealing with a beast, an animal that's doing the very same thing. It doesn't sleep. You go to sleep. I go to sleep. Social media doesn't go to sleep. It's on
That's
all day, all night, all it's repetitive.
that's right.
So, like, you can tape delay something. Some of these people, they're finding out that some of these influencers aren't even human beings. They're robots. They're bots. So come on now. I mean, this is what you're up against.
Yeah.
So if you want to save your child, you're going to have to do several things. I mean, you're going to have to, the initiative that I'm trying to put together along with some other people who, I don't want to put it too much out there, but who have taken interest in what I'm trying to do. If I can get whatever the necessary money behind, then I will follow the same blueprint that others that came before me. But it's gonna take, whereas you actually physically have to go into those schools.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go in there. You have to go in there like military, like teams. You know what I mean? Same thing with the hats, shirts, everything. Like, and it's not forceful. What it is me coming in there with groups of people saying, listen, if this is a school that has grades 1 through 6, each one of these grades, the first class from each one of these grades, whoever can get their grade point average up just 1 point, that
Mm-hmm.
class will be the entire class and their parents will be going to Disney World. The entire class. That's grades 1 through 6. The second class will be winning a PlayStation or Xbox, whatever they like the most. The third will win, and this is how you cheat the Instagram algorithm, because the only way to combat that is to give them something physical, and you have to constantly come in and revisit it and say, well, listen, y'all don't want to y'all don't want to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
It's not a group of men coming in there and saying that and then leaving. No, it has to be there. Or, and I mentioned men for a reason, and that's not the women.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep it 100. They took the men out for a reason. The men have a different impact.
Yeah.
It's a different impact. So when you see men come up in there and you see, because the first thing that be in their mind will be like, oh, they trying to run game on us. But once you see, things being handed out, listen, it's real.
Right.
All you got to do is get this going, and then that's how you start to gradually, because you don't never want to say stop going on Instagram. You don't ever want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't never tell a person who drinks stop drinking.
Yeah.
You don't never tell a person who's getting high to stop getting high, because the next thing you know, I have family members. You see what I'm saying? So I know what I know. So what you have to do is you have to be like, come in and pull them, and that's if you really care. It'll show.
Yeah.
It'll show it. Whether or not you just spilling rhetoric or not.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a comprehensive curriculum and a program, and you got to teach the children for 2022. You can't use 1822 tactics right here. Those tactics ain't working no more. They're dead.
That's so true. So true. So true.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any other questions. As we know, we can go on and on with Maurice because he just has all this wisdom and knowledge. And
Nah, not really.
we can just go on and on just listening. Sil, do you have any other questions for Maurice?
Well, I just feel like, I mean, I'll be having like 20 million questions, so let me just narrow it down to one. Okay, how have you been able to connect with different people using social media during this time? I know that we talk about, again, we demonize social media in a way because it's just how it's used, but there are also pros and benefits to social media. So how has it allowed you to, I guess, connect with so many people during these unconventional times?
Social media, if used properly, can elevate you quicker and get you in front of more people faster than ever before in the history of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like any other thing out there. If someone was to give you, I don't even want to use those type of analogies. I hate to use them. So I'll give you an example. There is a African proverb. A father says to his child, his son, he says, I want you to take this rock and I want you to go into the marketplace. And when they ask you the value of this rock, hold up 2 fingers. So the child goes into the marketplace. Someone says, wow, how much for that rock? And the child holds up 2 fingers. And the person say, oh, $2? I'll give you $2 for that. So the child runs back home to his father, said, Daddy, somebody offered me $2 for the rock. So the father says, now go to the museum And when the museum curator asks you for the price of this rock, hold up 2 fingers. So he goes to the museum, and the curator says, wow, that's a phenomenal rock you got right there. How much for the rock? So the boy holds up 2 fingers. He said, $200? I'll give you $200 for the rock. So the boy runs home to his father. And he says, Father, this man just offered me $200. He said, now take that same rock to a precious gemstone cutter. And when he asks you, hold up 2 fingers. He goes to the precious gemstone cutter. And the precious gemstone cutter says, where did you get that rock from? Where did you get that stone from? And he says, how much for the stone? He holds up 2 fingers. And the precious gemstone cutter says, $200,000? I'll give it to you. So the boy runs home to his father. And he says, Father, this man just offered me $200,000 for this rock. And his father said, now you have learned the lesson of your life. Because depending upon where you put yourself in front of, that's what the value of the people will see you. Mm-hmm. And so now you have the opportunity to put yourself in front of 8 billion people. Mm-hmm. And if you can't find the precious gemstone cutter from out of 8 billion people, then shame on you, grasshopper. Yeah. Because you have the opportunity like never before for someone to see your value. You know how hard that would have been 50 years ago? You'd had to walk the earth like Kung Fu the Legend continue. Mm-hmm. So now all it is for you to find out what platform is best that will get you in front of those people. So don't use the Instagram foolishness, the Facebook foolishness you get with these groups. They're think tanks, and they study how to get you in front of the group of people that you need to be in front of. Yeah. Not someone who doesn't care about what you have to offer, like in that story. Mm-hmm. They went to the market. There was 100,000 people on the market, but their level of thought couldn't see the child or the rock for what the true value of the rock or the child was. You got to put yourself in front of people who can see your value. Mm-hmm.
You heard that? I heard it. You heard it? Yep. The gem dropping. Maurice gem dropping Todd, you guys.
Like always.
Okay. But that's real. It's real talk. And that's what I love about StoryTime Chill. I know that there's so many StoryTime shows, but the fact that we can bring real authenticity and it's more than just, okay, the book, there's nice pictures, oh my gosh, illustrations, it has a rap, feel, rhythm to it, and it's amazing. But the person behind the book, the person behind the product is equally as amazing. And so being able to, push these authors in front of audiences virtually everywhere is just, that's why I just love what we do. And so, Maurice, tell us or remind our audience, because again, we have some seasoned followers and fans, and then we have some new ones. Where can we support your book series, and where can we stay connected to you? So what platforms do you want people to connect with you on?
The books are on all the major platforms, but once again, I encourage you to go to my website so that my hard-earned work and energy, the money will come to me and not Amazon, me and not that. So go to SNK rocks, and you'll find everything there. You'll find the book bags you see behind me. You'll see the books, little hats for the kids, all of that. You know what I mean? So, and hopefully in 2022 we'll bring more stuff, for the children. Ultimately, I want to be able to get a nonprofit up and running, because once that happens, then there is no ceiling.
There never is a ceiling. So it's just up to us to recognize that there's no ceiling.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's what people don't want us to realize is that there is no ceiling, because they know once we tap into that mindset, oh, you're
Valid.
unstoppable.
Absolutely valid.
Unstoppable. I mean, as always, and Maurice, you know, we always connect even outside of Storytime Chill. I'm proud and just amazed at everything that you're doing. So whenever I can just show love and show support, and Val's the same way. We just love your story. We love what you bring. We love your authenticity and your transparency, and just your heart for people. Your heart for people, and it's just such a joy to see. And I am grateful to social media, because we would never have found you. And all millions of people had it not been for social media. So when you use it for what it's supposed to be used for, it has some very, very amazing benefits. So
that's right.
I know, and I need to get me a hat, because you know I go to the gym. Well, okay. Well, no, seriously, I'm going to start being consistent again. But I go to the gym and I have my hats on, so I can be in it.
You gotta have a Snotty Nose Kids hat on. Shame on you.
That's right.
Yeah,
I gotta get both of y'all.
I do. I need one. I do, because I'm a hat girl.
Yeah, this is a movement right here.
That's right.
No doubt. That's right. Here, okay. Not over there. You heard it here, okay.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
No excuses.
No excuses. So fun. But no, I appreciate it, because you two are the ones that broke me. All right. Y'all the ones that first had me on. Yeah. And so eternal gratitude for that. And yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
For those who don't know, Val SIL was the first podcast / media platform for me. And I remember it almost like it was yesterday. I was fumbling and bumbling. I couldn't find what switch to turn on and all this other stuff. You know.
But look at you now.
Look at me right now.
A pro, have the lighting going. Maurice,
got the lighting going. Everything. Everything. Next time you see me, I'm gonna be in an office building.
Listen, come on.
That's how it goes.
That's right. That's
where you have your nonprofit meetings and everything there.
That's
all
right.
Inventory.
That's
right. And I love to see it. We're going to love to see it in 2022. And again, we'll stay connected. And of course, if you have not read,
you got to bring me back for book 3, book 4, book 5, and book 6, the movie, the play.
Come on, hold on. Come on, movie.
Come on, movie.
As long as now we gotta be on the red carpet with you. So when the movie happens,
that's
now
why I've been going to the gym, sis. Because I've been having some dreams. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be on somebody red carpet.
We gotta be red carpet ready. So yeah,
that's right.
Mm-hmm. We're coming. 2022 is very personal.
Just visualize it. Just visualize
it.
Yes, that's right.
I love it. And I know Val is always just wants to pour into you as well. Of course, you know where my heart is. I can't thank you enough, but I know Val also wants to say some things as well.
Well, there's so much to say, but I will try to keep it brief, because Maurice Todd is such an awesome, amazing person. Your story, hearing your story, it really is a testament. And I know it's not that show, but it's just for a few seconds I needed to be this show. Your story is a testament of what, even though you have different things happen to you in life, whether there's something that you did or the system or whatever, your story is a true testament of what it can be if you want it to be greater and you desire more and you desire greater. And so we thank you, Maurice Todd, for coming on and reading your story, The Secret of the Lily, Snotty Nose Kids, book number 2. And so there were so many messages behind the story, and we anticipate and we look forward to hearing what's going to happen in story number 3, 4, and 5. We look forward to all the things that God truly has in store for your life. Nothing we go through is for ourselves, but it is indeed for others as well. So we appreciate you talking about the anti-bully message. And we know that there are often times when we go through things, but we go through things for a purpose. And so your purpose is definitely to encourage a generation to dare to be different and to hear the message of the elders, have to hear the wisdom and the knowledge that go along with time. And so we appreciate you. We thank you for coming on. We definitely wish you well, and we know we will definitely stay in touch. And so we just look forward to all the things that you're going to do and how successful this is going to be. And we wait with anticipation on what the big next big thing that's going to happen for you. So thanks again, Maurice Todd, for being on the Storytime Chill with Val SIL. Best wishes as always, and you got to come back really soon and do book 3, 4, and 5. So
Look
yes.
forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ladies, stay up, stay safe, and just stay motivated. And
Thank you.
we all get there. Trust me.
We
Yes.
need it. Yes, we
We
need
will
to
see
hear
you
that.
on the other side of 2022, along with just the amazing opportunities that are going to come with it.
Yes.
Again, make sure that you support Maurice Todd, the Snotty Nose Kid, the products, the books, the
Yes.
merchandise, the vision. Just go ahead and subscribe now so that you
Yes.
can be the first to know about what's coming up, because this is not
Yes.
disappointing. This is not over. And of course, to stay connected with Val and myself, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Storytime Chill. And then
Yes.
our website is www.storytimechill.com. We like to talk, as you can see, so don't be
Yes,
shy.
we do.
You can slide in our DMs for Storytime Chill purposes, and we'll love to
Only.
talk. We'll love to talk, okay? So we hope that everyone stays safe in 2022, and we will see you next week with our next guest, okay? All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.